Hey everyone, my name is John Gosman, and in this video I am going to talk about a lifetime of ADHD, my story with ADHD so far, because it's not one that's going to go anyway anytime soon. I've written a few notes. I don't like to rehearse any of my videos or for them to be scripted, but there's a lot. I mean, I'm talking about literally a lifetime of ADHD here. And I know if you're watching this, you've probably got ADHD and you're not going to be able to sit here for half an hour and listen because you want to go and do something else. But if you can, grab yourself a coffee and just hear me out and let me share my story with you. And hopefully you'll be able to relate to it. And where's that just come from? Hopefully you won't feel so alone, because it can feel lonely sometimes. So I was diagnosed officially at 8 years old, which is 28 years ago. And it's been a roller coaster, I can tell you that for now. I was actually re-diagnosed at 14 in order for me to be medicated at school. My mum recognised that I needed help. I was very close to getting expelled. I was a typical naughty ADHD kind of boy, class clown, you know, loved the laughs, couldn't sit still, loved pissing the teachers off, always getting in trouble, getting detentions. Some of the teachers loved me, some of the teachers hated me. Looking back, you know, I think a lot of the teachers were bang out of order. One teacher said to me, and I still remember this, it was in year 4, so at a ripe old age of 8, which is pretty much when I was diagnosed, I was told that I was never going to amount to anything. That teacher's dead now. Not because of me. He's unfortunately he's passed away. But that's beside the point. So at 14, I was given Concerta, which I believe is the slower release version of Ritalin. And to be honest with you, I don't have many memories of my childhood at all. One of my many symptoms is a poor memory. Sometimes it's quite sad because I don't remember much, and other times it's a blessing because there's stuff that I don't want to remember. But there's not much to talk about for me with my childhood other than use your imagination. I was that typical ADHD kid. Was going to get expelled from school. My mum got me on medication and I ended up passing all of my GCSEs with pretty decent grades, because I've always been an intelligent person, but just couldn't concentrate, didn't like doing the work unless there was something I was interested in. Then I would be very, very good at it. My natural ability, I think, is maths. I've never sort of practiced maths or studied maths, but I was in the top sets at school. And, you know, even now, you know, like countdown when they do the maths one, usually I've got the answer before she's even pressed the button. And I see numbers kind of everywhere. It's probably fucking autism or something as well. I don't know, I'm probably one of these ADHD people, but I've never been diagnosed with autism. I don't think it's that, but I think my talent with numbers is quite interesting. Things like angles, and like I'm really good at darts, I'm good at pool. Just stuff that involves like maths, trigonometry, angles, numbers and stuff. I just seem to be good at, for whatever reason, I don't know. I'll try and follow what I've got written here. So I've always felt different. I've always struggled to fit in. I've never had friends. I've tried, and relatively recently, just a few years ago, they were the first people that I ever really considered friends for a long time, and they were actually clients of mine. I'm an online coach and I help people lose weight. Well, that's what I used to do. I used to help people lose weight primarily, but now my coaching has shifted more towards complete transformation, with fat loss still being the primary agenda, but not from a place of this is what you've got to do, but more so this is who you are going to be. Purely from experience, 15 years plus experience in the gym. The actions are, of course, very important. You have to do the work. You have to know what you're doing, exercise and nutrition. But above everything else is mindset. And if your mindset isn't in the right place, then you are always going to give your results back, if you get any at all, and it's always going to be a struggle. So what I like to help people do now is work on their mindset. And I've gone from being a very naughty ADHD kid with no possibility of ever amounting to anything, even as a teenager and in my early 20s, I was always getting sacked from my jobs. I was a dick. I didn't treat my girlfriends right, and I didn't treat my parents right. I'm going to end up setting myself off, so let's carry on. That'd be a good time to move on to the next one, which is I've always been a very emotional person. Feel all the feels. Diagnosed with anxiety and depression many years ago. I now think that was probably a misdiagnosis. It was ADHD, but I didn't realize adult ADHD was a thing. I left school and it didn't cross my mind again. I thought ADHD was a kid's thing, and I struggled for my whole 20s. I struggled since I left school at the age of 15, 16. I struggled until I got re-diagnosed with ADHD 4 years ago now, at 31 years old. We'll get to that. We'll leave that as a cliffhanger. But yeah, very emotional. Emotional dysregulation, maybe. Sometimes my emotions don't add up. For example, if my daughter hurts herself, if I hear her screaming or crying, it makes me angry. And it's not the right response. And I don't get angry with her, but my automatic response to her being upset or hurt is to get angry. And I don't know why that occurs. It's the only thing that I can explain it as really is like dysregulation. It's like my body doesn't my brain doesn't respond in the correct way. So sometimes emotionally, I may laugh in inappropriate situations or cry when it doesn't really make sense. But we'll get onto that as well. Empath as well. I'm an empath, and I think that comes with my natural heightened awareness. I've always been very, very aware, and in recent years that has gone to a whole new level where I certainly consider myself to have had, or am still going through, whether there's a beginning or an end, a spiritual awakening, because life's a game, man. This shit's crazy. But again, we'll leave that one for another video, because that's going to be probably a lot of what I talk about on my YouTube channel. Being an empath with heightened awareness means you see pain everywhere, you see suffering everywhere. I've always been very aware of time and death and the temporary nature of life and of everything, and how delicate life is. And I used to live in fear, which is again why I probably got diagnosed with anxiety, but it's not right. I don't think it was ever true anxiety. I don't even know now. A few years ago, I would have fought to the death that I had mental depression due to imbalances in my brain, serotonin, etc. I was born with it. It's just the way I am. Since my recent discoveries, with this whole spiritual awareness thing, dare I say, I don't even know if I believe in anxiety and depression as a medical issue anymore, because who we are is perfect. It is pure. Any kind of pain or suffering that you're feeling is simply through conditioning. And I've felt this from meditations. When I've had successful meditations, which I started doing to try and combat my ADHD, I started trying to meditate. Useless at first, can't do it. But now, you know, it's the highlight of my day every day, and it's so good. And when you get into a meditative state, there is no depression, there is no anxiety, there is no worry, there's no fear. It's just peace, until your conscious mind switches back on again and you start remembering who you are and your responsibilities and the stresses and the things that are going on around you. So is depression real? It's real. I mean, I felt it, but I don't think many people are ever going to be able to understand it. And most people probably won't be able to understand it, even if I explain it as best I can, because you need to be at a certain level of awareness or consciousness to be able to understand that sort of thing. Because if you told me a few years ago, I would have told you to fuck off. But things change, you know. Obsessiveness is still a thing, you know. At school, it was Pokemon cards, Pogs, football heads, whatever the thing was at school at the time. I had to be the best at it. I had to have all of the stuff. Bless my dad, he always used to satisfy me with that. He'd always buy me the Pokemon cards, and must have cost him a fortune, but that's the way he sort of showed me love, I suppose. And he still does it to this day, you know. He doesn't have a lot, but if he would never see any of his kids want for anything. And he's never believed that I've actually had a problem with ADHD, and neither did my granddad. When I used to go and see my granddad, say if I'd had a fight with my mum or something, because, you know, I used to fall out with my mum quite a lot. He'd always be like, what's the matter with her? What's the matter with that woman? You know, you're a lovely young man. But, you know, I'm not saying that either of them are right or wrong. It's, you know, mum knew me from the relationship that I had with her in that house with my 4 siblings at the time. And my granddad, you know, when I was there, I was just a different person. So, you know, anyway, obsessiveness, gaming addictions. I spent thousands, and I mean thousands of hours on old school RuneScape through multiple stints in my life. When I was a teenager, in my early 20s, and then towards my late 20s as well, I kept getting back into it, and I can't explain the feeling that gives me. I joke about it, like, if I won the lottery, I would just love to just play RuneScape for 14 hours a day. I know how sad that is, but that's how I felt at the time. You know, it was just, I don't know whether it was escapism or what, but the nostalgia I feel when I think about the gaming is like nothing else. And I appreciate that's sad, but it's probably just the dopamine from the games, man. Like, there's never been anything like it. Never been anything like it. What else? You know, thrill seeking, especially as a child. I was always out nicking stuff, throwing eggs at cars, just being a little knob, really. But not because I wasn't, no, I've always had a very kind heart. Like I say, I'm an empath. I'd always feel bad after, but I couldn't just sit around and be bored. Like, I'd have to go and do something. You know, I used to set fire to bins and just be a little terror. But you know, I wasn't a nasty, evil boy, even though maybe my actions and may have made me seem like that. It's never been the case. Sacked. Been sacked a few times. Got sacked from work experience at school, and then I got sacked from my apprenticeship when I left school, and then I got sacked from one of my first jobs as a security guard at the local airport. And there's definitely been a few other things as well. And it's just because, like, this is, again, it's going to be for another video, but this whole system and the matrix, like management hierarchies and stuff, I don't like it. You know, I'm now an online coach. So in theory, I am the authority, and I'm helping people that want to know and want to learn what I know. And I'm also a captain. I drive boats. I drive small ships, however you want to put it. Again, very, very responsible job. But I will treat everybody the same. I don't like managers or bosses or supervisors that talk down on me, because I've been at the bottom for most of my life, and it's just unacceptable. And I don't. Oh, do you know what? I will bite my tongue to a certain degree if I know that the repercussions of that would have a negative impact on my family. Like, I've put up with a fair bit of shit over the years because I don't want to lose my house, and I don't want my family to be homeless. But I'll escape one day. Yeah, I just always just was like, who are you to speak to me like that? Just because you're above me in some sort of hierarchy situation. It's like, problems with authority, is that an ADHD thing? I think probably is. Scared of rejection, big time. Still suffer with that now. The whole RSD thing. ADHD and RSD tend to go hand in hand. You know, when I was younger, I was always terrified of girls. Not necessarily because I was terrified of women or girls, but because I was scared of rejection. You know, I would require a lot of alcohol to approach a girl, even though 9 times out of 10 they were checking me out first, which is generally they'd say that. You know, I'd approach a girl and they'd be like, "Oh, I was waiting for you to come over," or "I wanted you to come over," or whatever. I could never believe it. I was terrified, you know. But looking back again, that was probably down to the fact that I was just scared of them rejecting me. And even now, you know, in not so similar situations, but I'll try and avoid situations where there is an opportunity for me to be rejected, because I don't like it. It makes me feel sad. Hyperfixations, and this is one of the positives of ADHD, because, you know, the majority of it is pretty shit, to be honest with you, but it really can be a superpower, and you hear it a lot, and obviously, you know, from experience, it can be quite unbelievable. I get a lot done very quickly. I'm very efficient. How do people take days to do certain things I can do in like a few hours? I'm like, this car, it's an Audi S4 for anyone who's into cars. It's a 3-litre V6 supercharged engine, and when I first bought this car, I didn't really know what it was. I knew it was fast, but I wasn't really a car guy at the time. I am now. But I realised quite quickly that no mechanic would touch it, and I was kind of on my own if I wanted to fix it. And it started going wrong from pretty much the second I bought it. With no experience at all, just YouTube videos, I've had this engine in pieces. I've taken the supercharger off. I've done the injectors, PCV valve, water pump, thermostat, various hoses and lines, etc. I've had the injectors off. I've done the crank pulley. I've had the exhaust off and done exhaust work. I've done brakes. This has got Porsche brakes on it now. I've done the whole lot myself with no experience. And I just recently got back from Germany. It's about 700 miles there. And while we were there, we did another few hundred miles, and then obviously 700 odd miles back. And the car ran like a dream. So it's incredible what ADHD people can do if they've got the balls to go for it, which is, that superpower. Many entrepreneurs are ADHD, and it's the one thing that I've always felt frustrated with is that knowing. I know deep down, and I always have, that I'm meant for more, that I'm meant for an exceptional life, for like a proper abundant life, big house, lots of cars, luxury holidays. And just a few years ago, well, say a few years ago, like 10 15 years ago, I had nowhere to live, and I was sleeping on my dad's sofa bed back when he had a caravan. He's got a house now, and well, I had nothing, and I was no one. I had no ambition, no qualifications. I was just, and now I've got a fair bit going for me, but I'm still nowhere near where I would like to be, and I have a vision. Honestly, the main thing that holds me back is this fucking ADHD, like the procrastination. I can't explain it, and most people, if they don't understand it, they're just going to say, it's just excuses. You just need to get up. I can just imagine Andrew Tate in my ear saying, oh, you don't want it enough. And I want it. Sometimes I can't even fucking get out of bed in the morning. No amount of coffee or medication can get me to want to do anything. It's just not there. It feels like, if you imagine being locked up, with chains, and you can't move, and you've got tape on your mouth. It's an overwhelming presence that just has you in chains, physically and mentally, and it stops you from being able to do anything. I can see my son and my daughter. You all right, guys? I'm still chatting to the camera. You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Everything all right?
Yeah.
You're just coming out to see if I'm all right?
Yeah.
I'll be in a bit.
What are you doing?
I'm making a video.
Oh, okay.
You all right, are you?
Yeah, there was a wasp in the front room. It's me and Elle.
There was a wasp in the front room, so you ran out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go and get something and whack it. So yeah, I'm pretty much there now. I'm going to talk about my experience as an adult with ADHD and my journey with medication in a separate video, because ADHD has become a little bit of it's become a thing now. Everyone thinks that they've got ADHD. To be honest with you, I think a lot of people are when you actually learn about the science behind ADHD and the whole dopamine situation, I think people are giving themselves ADHD, and they're burning themselves out with the overstimulatory, addictive, instant gratification world that we live in, and just cast your mind back 50 years. I mean, there was no phones, there wasn't even internet or nothing. Nowadays, like, it's just constant, innit? It's just so quick. It's like bang, 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 bang. And yeah, I think while some people are born with a deficiency or dysregulation in the brain or whatever it is, whether it's that or not, whether ADHD is something that comes into your life as a result of childhood trauma or whatever, I don't know. Science will say that, yeah, we can see areas on the brain, the dopamine system, etc. But was it fucked when I was a baby? When I was 2, 3, 4? Don't know. Have they tested babies to see whether they are born with ADHD brains? Don't know. But either way, whether I was born with it or whether I got it as a result of something at an early age, whether it's genetic or not, I don't know. I'm sure there's mixed science out there to fight for either side of the argument. I've lost my train of thought now. Another symptom. Just blame everything on the ADHD. That's what I do. So it's been a tough journey, and it will probably continue to be so, but I am trying everything that I possibly can to get better, and I have been probably for the last sort of 7 years. And it just came, it's just the way that my journey went. I was obsessed with my physical development. I was in the gym and I was bodybuilding. I won bodybuilding shows, men's physique, powerlifting. I was obsessed with bettering myself physically, but despite having the body of a Greek god, being incredibly strong, I wasn't happy. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it, and it started with a podcast. It started with a book. It started with, I think it was like Les Brown and Tony Robbins, and then just one thing just led to another. And I've listened to and I've heard probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different people on the internet, but there are certain messages and certain people that I've resonated with the most over the years, some at different times. Tony Robbins, don't like him so much now. Joe Dispenza, I used to really dislike him, and it was simply because I didn't understand, I wasn't there yet. Now I love Joe Dispenza, and the whole idea of the fact that our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs and our self-concept, our identity, our personality creates our personal reality. And it's just led me down a rabbit hole of psychology, metaphysics, quantum physics, and that's been my obsession really over the last 6 or 7 years, is not only bettering myself and trying to improve my mental health to escape the anxiety and the depression and the ADHD, to understand myself better. And I enjoy learning about that stuff. And I'd argue that I probably know more about things like psychology and that than most psychologists, because of the obsessive nature of me, and the for sure tens of thousands of hours I've spent on YouTube over the last 15 years looking at stuff, from what to eat and what exercises to do, all the way up to frequency and vibration and 3D reality, 4D, 5D, time, space. The problem with knowing all of this stuff is you can't be ignorant to anything. Imagine having like a heightened awareness and being like an obsessive learner and being obsessed with self-development, having to know everything about everything. My mind is jam-packed 24/7, and it's absolutely exhausting, which is why I look forward to my meditations and that sort of disconnection. It's why I have enjoyed drinking alcohol, even though I hate the stuff, because it calms my mind a bit. And the medication, like I say, that's going to be for another video. And I'll talk about things like alcohol and drugs and sex and stuff in another video. But I just wanted to share my story and my life with ADHD. And I had a feeling this video would be about half an hour long, and I really, really, really appreciate it if you're still here and you're still listening, whether you have ADHD or someone you love has ADHD and you want to learn more about it. I've experienced it and battled with it and enjoyed it and hated it for my whole life, and I would say it is it's not something that just runs along in the background, you know. It's always there every single day, and it's really easy. But if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out, or, you know, for whatever reason, then I don't know, comment below, find me on social media somewhere, be Transform with John on Instagram, Transform with John on YouTube. I have a website as well, transformwithjohn.com, if you'd like to work with me. Don't know why you'd want to work with me after listening to that. Why would I want to work with that fruitcake? But yeah, feeling a bit better after chatting. So I'll leave it there. Have a good day.